Hello once again, and welcome back to the Lunatic Ginge and his podcast. Sorry it's been a while, I will explain myself. But yeah, welcome. This will be a Q&A podcast. You've sent your questions in, well some of you have, to on the Brendan Place forums. I'm going to answer all your questions. But first, let's explain why it's been about 2 weeks, I think, since... I lasted maybe even over 2 weeks since I last did a podcast, and I'll explain why. Basically, I just haven't had I just didn't want to for about 2 weeks. I just got up every day and not wanted to do anything. It's pretty sad, I know, pretty stupid of me, but it was just like, I just don't want to do anything today. And that's what it's been like for the past couple of weeks. But I got my energy back. I'm ready to do the Q&A podcast. I should be getting back into some regular uploading once again. Get on to the new year after a couple of weeks. And hopefully we'll be back on track. Because, we're up to about 80 something subscribers, I think, now. Or something around there. So, starting to build again, thanks to Brendan. Because I was on his Royal Rumble pre-show on his channel. That got me some exposure, so big thanks to Brendan for putting me on there. People seem to enjoy it. I definitely enjoyed it, so hopefully there'll be more of that to come, maybe. But so the Q&A podcast is coming up right now, and then next week we'll do the non-WWE pay-per-view, which I'll show you what I'm doing at the end of the show, and then the week after, the New Year, which you can still vote on. So let's get right into the questions now. There's a lot of questions from a couple of people. Mainly Nabakos7 and Bailey14 did a lot of questions. So let's start with Nabakos, who was the first one to do questions. Best/worst match of all of 2012. Now this is a very, very big question to come up with an answer for, because we know how many great there were some great matches, like some as recent as TLC with the Shield match, which was great, but some all the way back to like Extreme Rules and the WrestleMania, and I think I'm going to go with Undertaker versus Triple H, Hell in a Cell, WrestleMania. You just can't beat it, I don't think. It was really that good. Just the drama, just the way that the story was told, and the action, and how with Shawn Michaels in there as well. Absolutely top class match. Definitely a 5-star match, and I remember, because if you remember, I actually wrote that review for WrestleMania 28. And if you just remember my writing, most of it was in capitals for that match. The best, and then the worst match of 2012. Now this is a tough one because there were loads of them, but was there one that really stuck out? I mean, there was that. I think I'm going to go with the Survivor Series match of Team Brodus Clay versus Team Tensai. That was very, very bad. But not to take it away from a lot of other bad ones, mostly involving Brodus Clay. To be fair. And there were some really bad Divas matches as well. Best/worst pay-per-view overall of 2012. The best one was definitely Extreme Rules, because we had great matches, such as Lesnar Cena, Punk versus... Who's Punk face? Punk faced Jericho, I think. And we had 2 out of 3 falls, Sheamus versus Bryan, which was really, really good. That was definitely the best pay-per-view overall, I think. The worst, there were a lot of bad ones. I think like Night of Champions was bad. So was No Way Out. No Way Out was very bad. That's what it was, the last No Way Out. Yeah, I'm going to give it to No Way Out, I think. Best/worst feud of 2012. Well, we know what the worst feud is. It was Sheamus versus Alberto Del Rio. Come on. The best feud. definitely the one. It's definitely a CM Punk one, but is it CM Punk versus Jericho or is it CM Punk versus Daniel Bryan? I don't know. I'm gonna give it to Punk versus Jericho. Very good feud. Best/worst superstar of 2012. The best, I think, is obvious. It's the man who held the title all year, the WWE title, CM Punk. It's just a stellar performance for only 5 main event of pay-per-views in that year, and he got the best match on pretty much every card, every pay-per-view. It's just top work. Worst superstar. I know this is difficult because I can go with someone really bad like Sin Cara or Brodus Clay or Tensai. But I think I'm gonna have to. Give it to someone who was there almost on every pay-per-view, and that's Alberto Del Rio. I just really was not impressed with any match he did at all. So yeah, a real shame, because I know he can pull off good matches. I've seen him in good matches, but they were just god awful in 2012. Best/worst diva of 2012. Best diva is quite difficult because none of them are brilliant. Because I would say AJ Lee, but she never wrestled. I don't remember seeing her on the pay-per-view wrestling, so I can't give it to her technically. So I'm going to give it to Eve Torres. She held the title for a long while in that. So yeah, give it to Eve. Worst, Maria Menounos for appearing in WrestleMania, whatever the fuck, WrestleMania 28 in that god awful tag match. Most overrated/underrated superstar of 2012. I think most overrated, I'm going to go with Del Rio once again because he was in main event matches. Well, he was in world title matches, I should say, for quite a few pay-per-views. So yeah, and he definitely did not deserve them. Maybe Sheamus as well because he was world champion for quite a long time. Then underrated is quite difficult. I'm tempted to say Dolph Ziggler, but he did get his push towards the end of the year while main eventing TLC and stuff. But I can't really think of anybody else who was underrated. So yeah, I'm going to go with Dolph Ziggler because I love him. Most overrated/underrated feud. Yeah, underrated feud probably was a weird one, but Cody Rhodes versus The Big Show for the Intercontinental Championship was very underrated because it actually worked quite well with the story that they told. Overrated feud. Punk and Cena. I didn't really like that much. I know it's very liked. I know, but it was still good. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying it's overrated. People seem to go on about that for ages. I think maybe in 2011 it was a bit better than it was in 2012 because obviously you had that Money in the Bank 2011 match between them, which is one of the greatest matches of all time, definitely in the modern era. So yeah, and Nabakos' question here: do you think it was worth going through all that trouble to bring us the pay-per-view review? Good question. I definitely think it was because I enjoyed myself, and I think hopefully you did. I enjoyed some parts more than others. I mean, I enjoyed taking the piss out of some of them, but then I enjoyed watching some of the good matches that didn't come up that often, but they did sometimes. So yeah, overall, I do think it was worth it because I would have stopped if it wasn't worth it, to be fair. Now we move on to Bailey 14, who's got some questions. The world champ. Shout out to Bailey 14. I don't know why I keep saying 14, but that's his fucking username. No one calls him but that anymore. I think he's got most of the similar questions, but there's a couple he hasn't that are different. One of them is, why did you want to do the pay-per-view reviews in the first place? Now, a lot of people probably won't know this because there was a lot of new people on the forums, but I think I started writing them at the beginning of 2015, But I actually joined the forums in October 2014, so the 1st of October actually was when I joined. So it's coming up to the 1 year anniversary of me being on the forums. Shout out, there's going to be a big party coming up. So yeah, for the first 2 or 3 months I had about 10 posts, I would say. Or maybe a bit more than that, but it was not very much at all for being on there for 2 months. So I decided, right, what I'm going to do is make these, get myself noticed is what I wanted to do. So I was like, I always wanted to do these pay-per-view reviews, and I wasn't sure how to, like, because they're obviously pretty standard. A lot of people have done pay-per-view reviews, but I wanted to make them more interactive. So I decided you can vote on the worst year in wrestling and the best year, and I'm going to review them. And that's what I did, and I did get noticed, and I did, because a lot of people noticed them once I started doing them, because when I wrote them down it was very impressive because of how much I'd written on that page, and at that point no one had really written that much on a post. I don't think. It was probably one of the biggest posts, but definitely that Royal Rumble one, and that was the first one I did, Royal Rumble 2012. People seemed to enjoy it. I got a lot of rep for it. I remember, I think Brendan commented, and then after a couple of them I'd written them, people started to like them. I started to post, like, it was once every week, but it was very difficult to do because it took ages to write all the notes and then type it all up. But this takes a long time too as well. But yeah, after that I think I was on the chat, and I think Navakos personal messaged me, shout out to Navakos, and he started asking me questions about all of the stuff and how I do it, and started really taking an interest. I was like, wow, because Navakos, I think he may have been world champion at that time, I'm not sure. He's definitely a main eventer anyway, Hall of Famer. So at that point, to get someone asking you all those questions, taking an interest, and just having a nice chat with them, it really was to me, wow, shit, this is actually going well. Then is when I moved it to, a couple of pay-per-views after that, I moved it to audio, and we've gone on strength from strength. Brendan shout us out a couple of times, been on Brendan's videos now. So yeah, getting close to the 100 subscribers, which is arguably not a big margin, but it is for someone starting up and coming from absolutely nowhere. So yeah, I'm glad I decided to do them, and that is why I wanted to do them in the first place. I hope you enjoyed that little traipse back through history. And another question from Bailey was overall rating of the 2012 year. So I'm guessing you want it out of 10 or a grade. I'm going to go out of 10. I mean, this is out of WWE standards. It's really 5. I think 5 out of 10 is probably fair enough. If they put this year, let's say, this crap of wrestling straight after the Attitude Era, people would have gone apeshit, because let's face facts, people got angry at the year 2002 for it being shit, and 2003. But to be fair, the wrestling was actually really good. It just wasn't up to the standard of the Attitude Era. But if you put this shite 2012, which has come after a couple of shite years anyway, if you put that right after the Attitude Era, boy, people would have been pissed. So I'm going to give it a 5 out of 10. And that's probably being generous. And then Neb added a few more questions afterwards because I shouted him out for being a legend. So he's like, what was the best thing to happen to you by doing the pay-per-view review? A couple of things. Definitely getting noticed on the forums, and that led to me winning some championships, retaining the US title for the first time in its history. Suck it. Getting to know people like the Backles better. Brendan noticing me, and me chatting to him a lot more, getting on PlayStation and shit. And yeah, I think moving it onto the YouTube, because I don't think I'd have done it without the pay-per-view review. I would never be on YouTube in the first place. So yeah, I think that's definitely some good things. Next question he put was, what worst year would you have chosen to review if you didn't leave it to us, and why? To be fair, at this point, around 2000, I think I stopped watching wrestling around. Well, I watched wrestling vigorously from about 2002 to 2008, 9, maybe 2008, 9. Then I stopped watching pretty much, as you do, as most kids do. But I came back to it, so I didn't really know much about this 2012 year. So I may have not chosen it, but I know historically the worst years for the WWE were in the mid 90s before the Attitude Era, so maybe somewhere like 1995. Or I may have gone, but 2012 definitely would have been up there because I know people. I've heard enough about it to know how bad it was, really. Next question: what feud would you want to see on 2012, but that didn't happen? I like Jericho to be in it more, but I don't know where I'd put him. I'd like to see. Well, to be fair, it's not a feud that didn't happen, but it did, but only happened for one pay-per-view. It was Jericho versus Ziggler. I'd like to have that feud go on for like a couple of months. So that's kind of me answering that question, sort of. His next question was, why do you prefer the current format of the show over the one you had when you started? So when I changed from writing to speaking. I think speaking definitely gives it a more personal touch, because me just writing it, it's just me writing. You can't tell my voice and how I react to some things. Maybe if I'm trying to get a sarcastic joke, sometimes it might not go over as well. And definitely, it makes it definitely seem more professional. Me talking into a microphone, putting it on the internet for everyone to see, not just the forums. So yeah, that's why I prefer it. And it gives me a chance to talk to people, even though I'm not actually talking directly to you. I'm talking to other people. So yeah, it gives me a chance to do stuff. Smith gives me a couple of questions on the current WWE product. We're moving away from 2012 now. He says, "What has your WWE? What has been your favourite WWE pay per view this year, and what has been your favourite non WWE pay per view this year?" Interesting. My favourite WWE pay per view this year was WrestleMania 31. I think that was outstanding stuff. With Rollins cashing at the end, exactly what I wanted. I did mark out completely. I marked out with the DX NWO thing. And they were all great matches throughout the card, really. I marked out with Ronda Rousey. Yeah, so I definitely think WrestleMania 31 was the best. And NXT TakeOver Brooklyn was very good this year as well. That's definitely up there. My favourite non-WWE pay-per-view. I mean, there hasn't been many, but I'm going to the one that happened right at the beginning of this year, which I wasn't surprised. I was surprised to how good this was, because it was 4 hours, and it's the first thing I've seen from this company, and it was New Japan Pro Wrestling's Wrestle Kingdom 9, commentated by Jim Ross and Matt Striker. Boy, was it good to hear Jim Ross's voice again, commentating on superb action with people like AJ Styles, the Young Bucks, Shinsuke Nakamura, Okada, Tanahashi, Ibushi, all of those guys. It was an absolutely astonishing pay-per-view. I fucking love New Japan now. I don't watch it much as I should do, because I don't like having Japanese commentary. If there was a show, I know there is a show where they do British American commentary on old New Japan shows. But if there was a show that did English speaking commentary on every live pay-per-view, then that would just be brilliant. I don't know why they haven't done that yet. I mean, they did it for Wrestle Kingdom 9 and then they stopped. But yeah, absolutely outstanding. I try and keep up with what's going on. I know that Tanahashi won the G1 again this year, but I haven't really watched that. And Tanahashi's not my favourite, to be fair. I do like Ibushi. Ibushi's probably my favourite maybe Nakamura, because who doesn't like Nakamura? I mean, come on. So yeah, that was probably my favourite non-WWE pay-per-view. I've seen some ROH stuff, and PWG is my new favourite thing at the moment. So definitely all of them are up there, but I don't think I could choose PWG pay-per-view. Maybe I'll choose Battle of Los Angeles when it comes out on DVD when I watch that. I obviously haven't seen it yet, but I do know who the winner is. And yes. Apex then came in with a question saying, one question, how do you keep watching these god-awful pay-per-views and stay positive? One easy answer, I just joke. Keep joking, keep smiling, keep making jokes, be happy, and you can get through anything. The power of positivity, as the New Day do say. Hey, we want some New Day. Hey, we want some New Day. God, I love the New Day. So yeah, stay positive, power of positivity. Hashtag Brad Blood. Yep, I did come up with that name. Comes up with a question saying, how has your eyes not gone blind yet? Strange question, but because I've got good eyesight, I don't know. Go away, you weirdo. Flynn comes up with a few questions. The WWE dubbed 2012 as the worst year in John Cena's career. What is your opinion on this statement? I'm not quite sure of the years around here, like 2011 and 2013, how good or bad his career was there. But he had a couple of good matches. I mean, he was with CM Punk, so you can't have that bad matches, to be fair. But I can see what they mean, because he didn't win the title at all that year. He had something at the beginning of the year. He had the Eve Torres thing with Zack Ryder and Kane. They were definitely not good. Then at WrestleMania, he faced The Rock. It was a good match, but it was a one-time thing, once in a lifetime. Yeah, right. Then he moved on to win the Money in the Bank. Challenged Punk, lost. So he didn't win the title. So technically, he didn't win the title all year. So technically, yeah, it was. I would agree with that statement. What was the best mid-card IC or US title match on a pay-per-view in 2012? God, I can't remember many of them because they were awful. Cesaro, so anything with Cesaro's matches in the second half were definitely good. He had a good match against someone. Was it Justin Gabriel, maybe? I don't remember. But yeah, anything Cesaro, I will love, whatever it is. What was, in your opinion, the best feud Punk had in 2012? I said, I went with the best feud of the whole 2012 was Punk versus Jericho, so I'll go with Punk versus Jericho. I just love the animosity between the two, and I wish that had gone on longer, but Jericho had his on and off things going on. Would you have booked Punk's 2012 title reign differently? Some aspects yes, some aspects no. The first part with Jericho, no problem with that. Mania gets Jericho, I may have pushed that a lot higher up the card, but obviously you had Rock, Cena, of course they're going to main event. After that, it was a bit more Jericho, and then he moved on to Daniel Bryan. This is where I would change it, is where I'd have kept Punk versus Daniel Bryan for a lot longer and minus AJ, because I had a massive rant on that, if you remember, when they were all fighting over AJ. So yeah, I would definitely get rid of AJ and keep the feud on who is the best wrestler. Punk, best in the world, as he says. Bryan says, I'm the best technician in the world, whatever. I can make you tap out. And then keep Cena away for a bit. I don't know what to do with Cena, to be fair, but keep him away from the world title for a little more, maybe until after SummerSlam Night of Champions. Maybe bring Cena in then, so then you don't have to put Ryback in. I would keep Ryback away for the world title. You'd have build him up a lot slower, because that just really didn't work, did it? So keep Cena in for the later ones, and then build it up to when The Rock beats him. Next question from Flynn. Of the pay-per-views in 2012, which one, excluding WrestleMania, was your best in your opinion? I definitely think Extreme Rules, the one after, was the second best. So I said it was the best. People seem to like Mania. I was a bit contrarian in that opinion, that I didn't like Mania that much. I got a bit of heat from some people. I remember when I reviewed it, people were like, well, you didn't really like Mania, did you? I was like, no, I didn't, but people seem to. Maybe because it's Mania and you get a bit more when you witness it live, because I didn't see that. That was the first time I saw Mania from beginning to end. So yeah, I didn't like it that much. So I preferred Extreme Rules than the one after with Lesnar and Cena in that fucking hellacious match. And that is all your questions. Wow. So yeah, thanks to all the questioners, the people who asked the questions. Yeah, I definitely enjoyed answering all your questions about mostly 2012 and also about current product. So yeah, hopefully next week, will be me reviewing the best non-WWE pay-per-view you suggested. I only got 2 suggestions. One was a TNA pay-per-view. No thank you. And the other one was from the Back Off 7. My boy, once again, coming up with the goods. He recommended Lucha Underground's Ultima Lucha, which is what I will be reviewing, hopefully, next week. So, yes, if you liked this Q&A podcast, please would you suggest giving it a like on the YouTubes, maybe giving me some rep on the forums as well, where this will also be posted, because, boy, do we need that rep. So yeah, if you have any views on any of the questions I answered, if you want to ask me a question, maybe I'll do another one of these at some point. Put it in the YouTube comments. If you got any views on Ultima Lucha coming up, make sure you vote on there's still one more week left to vote for the new year that I'll be reviewing. I think it's very close between 2002 and 2004 at the moment. So yeah, make sure you review that. Maybe have a good look at that and vote. Apart from that, I don't think there's anything else. Make sure to check out the forums if you haven't already at brandonplace.com/forums. The title voting will be coming very soon. I've just debuted a brand new gimmick. I am now the cleaner of the BPC forums. I sweep up all the shit that's been spoken, mainly by dumbasses, and I'll take out the trash. People seem to love it. I love it as well. It's a bit of an ode to Kenny Omega there, who's from New Japan Pro Wrestling. If you don't already know, you should check him out, because he's awesome. So yeah, that'll do it from me, the Lunatic Ginge, your host for this Q&A podcast of all things pay-per-view review podcast styley, the 2012, my views on the current product, all of that sort of stuff. I will see you next week for Ultima Lucha. We're going into the Lucha stuff. I haven't seen that much of Lucha Underground, so I'm excited to see what they came up with Ultima Lucha. So I will see you next time.